I'm going to show you 4 types of lead magnets that I've used in the past in the trading niche to capture over 1,000 leads per week or just under a week, as you can see here on WAP. And we're going to break it down. So first thing you have to understand is we're going to have different types of lead magnets for different types of leads, right? So someone who is more new, who is more top of funnel, they're going to need a lot more value heavy lead magnets, for example, like a free guide, a free course, while someone who really needs more authority, more framing to get them over the line to maybe book a call, they're going to need something like an educational case study. So you have to be flexible with that. Now, before we actually dive into the types of lead magnets that you can use, there are some universal lessons that apply to every single one of them and should be applied to every single one of them in order to make it as effective as possible. So write this down. This is the key qualities of any good lead magnet. First of all, any good lead magnet offers a complete keyword, there's complete solution to another keyword, a narrow problem, right? So what that means is you shouldn't take a broad problem, like for example, if you're in the trading niche, you shouldn't take a problem like profitability and attempt to solve it with a lead magnet, right? You should take a smaller sub problem of that bigger problem and then solve it really well with a lead magnet, right? Secondly, the lead magnet should be highly valuable, detailed, and the same quality as your paid product, because people will judge your free stuff or your paid stuff based on your free stuff. And if your free stuff sucks, they're just going to assume your paid stuff sucks even more. That's just how it works. Now, do not solve the core problem that your ICP has with a lead magnet. You're just going to remove any need for them to buy anything from you in the future. Pretty self-explanatory. And then also something that a lot of people miss, which you can optimize, is you should write it in a way that showcases authority as much as possible at every step, right? So always ask yourself whether it's a video, a guide, a document, where can I add some kind of social proof in order to actually back up my claims, because you're not only going to be giving them value, but also framing them and building up that authority, which is also really important. So write this stuff down. This is really important. And if you mess up any of these points, all of the stuff that I'm about to show you is going to be completely ineffective. So all of these lead magnets that we're going to talk about today should be kept behind some kind of opt-in page so that you're collecting leads, with the exception of maybe the more bottom of funnel lead magnets, something like case studies, because at this point, if someone is reading a case study, chances are you probably already have their email because they're already at the bottom of the funnel. So that's a bit of an exception, but let's ignore that. Now, the opt-in page itself is almost as important as the lead magnet itself, because if people don't get through the opt-in page, the lead magnet won't matter anyway. So here's a really fast breakdown of how you make an opt-in page that converts at roughly 40 to 60%, right? So first of all, really simple. You have a headline that conveys some kind of value. You have a really clean opt-in like this, and you have a simple preview of whatever you're giving away on the side or wherever you want to put it. So this is really simple. It should be very clean. It should be one page, shouldn't be scrollable. You want to make sure that you're not overwhelming people with paragraphs of text. It should be just short, simple copy that sells the asset, not the solution. You don't need to pitch them on your USP. You don't need to pitch them on your results. You don't need social proof on there, okay? Your only job is to sell the asset which you're giving away, and give them a very clean visual representation of what they're going to get. Also helps if you have some kind of progress bar here so that they understand that the lead magnet is just, one opt-in page away and they're actually going to get it as soon as they, fill out the form. Yeah, that's pretty much it. If you do all of this stuff correctly, should convert at around 40 to 60%, granted that you actually know what you're doing with the copywriting and you hit the ICP in the correct way, right? Now let's break down the types of lead magnet, just like I promised, and also what the use case for each one of them is, because they do have nuanced use cases, which is important to understand. So let's start with the most powerful one, and this is going to be something like a free course, a mini course, I like to call it. And this one really is going to be most useful before you do some kind of offer launch, because it's going to fill up the pipeline really well, right? The way we do this usually is if you have like an offer launch, right? A high ticket offer launch, usually around 30 days out, so 30 days before the launch, you're also going to do like a mini course launch separately, right? So you're going to do something like 3, 4, 5 days to hype up the mini course, build up some urgency, make it limited time, all of that jazz, and really collect as many leads from your audience in that time period as possible, because what that's going to allow you to do is pretty much fill up as much of the pipeline as possible, as well as generate just generally some hype around the brand and give people a lot of value just before the offer drops, because that's just going to make everything run a ton more smoothly with the actual launch, right? Now, it's really important that you make this mini course really detailed and high value on a very specific topic. I recommend you host it on WAP and you do a CTA to either implementation call or just your main VSL funnel for just a regular sales call. Now, which one should you pick? Really depends. The implementation calls usually have a much higher booking rate because they're framed as value. And you can tie them to the context of the course very well, right? So for example, I'll give you a very good example with, I think, Johnny Mao. So he's like in the sales training niche, right? He has an objection handling course. At the end of the course, you get an option to book a free, kind of like an implementation call where you can speak with one of his coaches and he can take you through pretty much what you're fucking up with your objection handles, right? So it ties into the value of the course really well to the context, and those really get a lot higher booking rates than just normal sales calls. But the caveat here is the actual person on the call needs to be able to deliver some kind of value, right? Because it's pretty much just a value call. Now, really important, you shouldn't make this course more than like 20 to 25 minutes long. The reason for that, really two reasons. First of all, condensing high value information into a short time period is a form of value in of itself. But secondly, this is important, when people don't pay for stuff, they don't really value it. And if you give out a course which is like 3 hours, 4 hours for free, most people won't watch it, right? Unfortunately, that's just how it works. We found that 20 to 25 minutes really works the best, and you should just stick to this because of those two reasons. Now, the start of the course should be just a video showcasing the concept that you're going to break down, kind of like a hook video, and then also breaking down social proof, results, framing, so that they actually listen to what you have to say and build some authority along the way as well. Now, the second lead magnet that I like to use is going to be a free community. Now, this one also has a different purpose, and this one's purpose is really going to be the long-term nurturing aspect. Basically, the way I like to think about free communities is kind of like an email list with way higher open rates. So it's a really good way to stay top of mind for prospects. Now, a really important thing you should do before starting any kind of community is you should IP block kind of countries which are notorious for scammers, like India, Africans, like Nigeria, stuff like that. Because if you don't do this, scammers will join the community. Because if you're running a community, one of the best aspects of that is you get to have a really efficient DM setting process, right? Because people are really active in those communities. But if you have scammers, that's just not going to work, because the scammers will be DMing people as well, and that's just going to fuck up everything, right? So you can host this on School, you can do Discord. It doesn't really matter, to be honest. Kind of depends on what your ICP is most familiar with. This can also be merged with the free course, kind of depending on the context. You can have a free chat, but you should not answer questions, for example. Because that's going to subtract usually from the high ticket, right? You can have a team that's going to answer questions, but you yourself as the offer owner should not answer too many questions in there. The point of the community should be to serve them with daily social proof. So, for example, with the trading niche, you should be posting the trades that you're taking, showing the wins, and that's gonna build a ton of authority as well as FOMO of them seeing you win every single day, them seeing your students win. You can also use the announcements channel as pretty much like a second email list, like we talked about, to do like launch CTAs and just general CTAs. This has much higher open rates than, for example, email. Third type of lead magnet I love is free resources. Now again, separate use case. So the use case for this one is you can use it mainly for like ManyChat automations on platforms like Instagram, Twitter, I wouldn't say TikTok really, to pretty much farm engagement, right? So you can do the comment to get XYZ resource, and the reason why that works so well is because you're gonna have a higher engagement rate, which means that the algorithm is gonna push it, and also you're gonna get traffic down the funnels. So just overall a really good thing to do. And these can be like short guides on super specific problems. And really the effectiveness of this is gonna be determined by how well that problem actually resonates with the ICP. So is that something that is really a burning question, a burning problem in your ICP's mind? If you can solve that well with a free resource, then that will perform really, really well. These can be claimable via DMs, but you should also have an opt-in page so that you also get them in the CRM. So for example, you can have a ManyChat automation that sends them to an opt-in page, and then that way you can get them both in the DMs so the setter can follow up with them, as well as get them in the CRM, get them on the email list, so on and so on, right? Just like with a free course, you should have a CTA to the main VSL at the end. Now I know I said 4, but I have to throw this in here because it's super fucking powerful. Front-end paid lead magnets. This works like a charm for advertising purposes. So I like to use paid lead magnets for paid ads for 2 very simple reasons. Firstly, they're gonna attract buyers, so people who actually are willing to pay for stuff and not just trying to get free stuff from you, because those leads are gonna be worth infinitely more because they already showed the highest level of intent, which is pulling out their wallet. Secondly, the second reason is you're gonna be able to acquire leads at a break-even rate because they're gonna be the ones paying you for you to collect their information. So this is pretty much as close to getting free leads as possible. They're pretty much paying for themselves, and you can just scale this to the fucking moon. I love this funnel so much, and you should definitely consider it for your paid ads. Now, one thing you can also do is, this is a pro tip, when you do the free course here, a really good way to build urgency and build scarcity is you're gonna make this free course free, right, during the launch, so before the high ticket launch. But you need to make it known, or you can make it known, that you're gonna actually close down this course and make it paid in the future, right? So you're just gonna generate that extra bit of urgency before the launch to get more people through the door, right? Now your LTO, so your low ticket offer or your paid lead magnet, what makes it good is it should be a no-brainer offer. So it needs to be a really strong offer here because people don't know you, so they're not buying the brand, but they're actually buying the offer. It needs to be high value, something your ICP actively wants, should not solve the main problem. Just like we talked about before, specific problem and designed in a way that showcases your authority. This is really fucking important, right? Examples that work well, mini courses, so this one here, right? Things like ebooks fucking crush. I love ebooks. You can even do paid case studies. These sometimes work well in like B2B niches. I like these ones. You can bundle up SOPs, assets. You can do a paid challenge. These ones absolutely crush as well. You can do community. I don't like these ones, to be honest. Hard to do a really good offer. Not good. I'm gonna put not good here. So fourth one, last type of lead magnet that you can use is gonna be case studies. So these are gonna be the bottom of funnel lead magnets, and really mostly useful as pre-call resources. So this is something that the closer can send to leads before they hop on a sales call to kind of prime them and persuade them to get them over the fence on that call. These must be framed with value, right? So they should be framed as kind of like a breakdown, a framework, an analysis, right? With some kind of value attached to them, right? If you just try to give them authority straight up, people don't really care, right? But if you attach some kind of value to it, then they're going to consume that, and they're also going to get the authority, kind of like, yeah, putting a pill in a dog treat. Like, dogs don't want to fucking eat pills, but if you put it in like a piece of, you know, dog treat, they're going to eat that shit up. Same thing here. A good case study really is going to be about telling a story. If you can do that well, and if that story resonates with the ICP, you're going to win. Here's the case study structure that I recommend. So hook, problem, turning point, solution, results, lesson, CTA. And yeah, if you guys want to work with me, you can follow me on Instagram. I post a couple useful things here and there, I could say. And yeah, DM me if you want to work with me, follow me, and that's pretty much it, guys. Hope you found some value in this video.